Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Bankroll Blitz. It's your boy Brad Thomas, my boy Bobby. Prop Holiday in the building. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. We had a fun weekend of football. Your Rams beat my Bucs, like you said. You were pretty close to the score prediction too, which also hurt my feelings because I really wanted to win that game.
I know my team, man. What can I say?
Hey, no, I think I was just being like a fan. I didn't really believe we could win, especially not with no JPP, a banged up secondary. But I was glad that we were in it at some point, and it wasn't just an absolute domination from the beginning. I think one thing's for certain: these are the two best teams in the NFL, and they're going to be fun to watch in the NFC Championship.
I couldn't agree more, man. I can't wait to start talking to you in come January.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we are honored to have a great guest with us. Beau Wagner. You can find him at Beau Wagner on Twitter. Welcome to the show, Beau. How are you doing?
I'm great, guys. How are you? It is an honor.
I'm glad you're on the show. You know, Mr. 6'9" in the building. I love following you on Twitter. Love seeing your action. It's so fun.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm very honored.
Absolutely.
So let's make some money.
Let's make some money and kick this show off. I'm going to start with my first play, and I think I'm going to make this a common theme of the podcast because I've had a lot of fun crafting these two-team teaser, 6-point teasers. The first one I'm going to go with is actually the Tennessee Titans game. So we have the Tennessee Titans traveling to New York Jets, and a lot of fun action is coming on the Jets because how banged up the Tennessee Titans are. You know, they might be missing AJ Brown, Julio Jones is banged up. There's some injuries to the offensive line, but I do think a lot of the line's gonna give it a go. The Titans have struggled defensively, but I don't think they have struggled enough to make Mr. 7 interception, Zach Wilson, go ahead and light them up. Let's be honest, and let's call a spade a spade. The Jets are awful, averaging 6.7 points per game. Zach Wilson has a lower passer rating than pass completions. Like let's be for real. I mean, a lower passer rating. 0-3 against the spread, 0-3 straight up. I like that first leg. And for the second leg, me and Bobby talked about this one a little bit. I think people are a little too low on the Lions this weekend. The Bears 1-5 against the spread in their last 5. This is a Bears team who they're an organization that's being run into the ground by terrible coaching. But outside of that, it's terrible managerial decisions. Like, I understand you have Justin Fields playing in his first NFL game, but you have a guy with legs. You have to move the pocket. If you're not getting good protection, for a team to have 47 total yards and 1 passing yard, it's not. There's something not sitting right there. We are in the NFL, and for the Lions, they've hung tough every game. I mean, even in the preseason, you saw a glimpse of it. But against the 49ers, they hung tough. Against the Packers, there was a point where I didn't think I was going to get a cover against the Packers. And then against the Ravens, they lost to a 66-yard goal. A 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker, which is the NFL record. I really like this teaser here. Play it for 1 unit. Guys have any thoughts on it?
I couldn't agree with you more, man. I think Detroit actually wins this outright. You made a really good point. They've been competitive every single game this year. They were up at halftime against Green Bay on Monday Night Football, and then the rain started to come down. So I really like Detroit money line. I think they're plus 120 money line. They're still getting 3 points on the road. I don't think it matters who's behind center for Chicago this week. I could see Detroit winning. So the fact that you got them plus 9 points and essentially a money line for Tennessee, I think it's a great play.
I mean, as a Bears fan, yeah, sure. I'm with you. And I'll just say this, Goff has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has. Like he plays with energy. They're moving up and down the field. As a Bears fan, I mean, I don't know a Bears fan that is betting the Bears. But I do think that if Dalton plays, I think the Bears have a better chance. Just from what it seemed like, nothing was implemented at all for our guy Fields. So yeah, I'm on board with this, really.
Especially as a Bears fan, when's the last time that you guys have blown a team out? A double-digit victories feels like a while ago.
I don't know. I just remember the Trubisky game where I think he threw 5 first half touchdowns. So we thought, okay, we got one, and then the rest is history.
Well, I'm going to kick it over to you, Mr. Prop Holiday, for your first prop of the day.
So I'm going to over to, it's a 7.5 point spread, but I think it's going to be one of the more exciting games this weekend. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts over 52.5 rushing yards. It's minus 110 over on Caesars. So he's hit this in 5 of 7 career starts. It's about 71%. Obviously, the Dallas game was very, very ugly last weekend. They had a game plan for him. He didn't really get going. I still think he finished with something like between 35 and 45 yards, but that's not his norm. Now, this Chiefs team is ranked 31st in opponents' rushing yards per game. They give up 160 rushing yards per game, and they're dead last in rushing yards per game on the road. Now, for this season, Jalen Hurts is averaging 59.7 rush yards per game and 8.7 carries. So this 52.5 line, it's very, very low. I think people still have that Monday Night Football game fresh in their heads. He said it, it's a deuce. We flush it. We move on. So this is well below what his normal stats are. And it's a team that, as long as they can get a couple scores, the run game is still going to be around. Now, obviously, if the Chiefs pull away, that's not the case. But even if the Chiefs do pull away, I can still see him going 4 wide, tucking it and taking off. So 52.5 seems pretty low for a guy who's done this a majority of the few starts in his career.
You mentioned the Monday night game being fresh in everyone's mind. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I was on Hurts's rushing yards, and I couldn't believe why he wasn't taking off. It looked to me like it was, I think I tweeted this, Mitch Trubisky flashbacks. He gets the snap, locked in on one receiver, and I don't know what you guys think, but it just didn't look like he was going through his progressions. So, you couple that with how the Chiefs, I think they played a tough Chargers team, a lot of turnovers in the first half, still almost pulled the game out, obviously didn't. For me, this game starts with like a 3-team parlay money line. So if you parlay the Chiefs to win, which if they're going to go 1-3 against the Eagles on a short week, if they lose, you're going to have, that's going to be the story of the week in the NFL, right? 1-3. You toss in the Bills money line, and then you toss in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That actually is minus 110. Typical juice on DK. So for me, if any one of those teams loses, that is the story of week 4. For this type of play, if this doesn't hit, I'll get a couple of kittens from the pet store. I'll put it in the microwave and I'll live stream them because I'm pretty heavy on this parlay. For me, I think that Bucs deal is completely broken. That money line should be 490, 500, something like that. And by the way, all these games I'll be watching very closely live if one of the dogs gets up, and I'd have no problem putting more money down on those teams to win. So,
just to be clear, due to PETA regulations, we will not be live streaming these microwave
I said me.
Here on Bankroll
I
Blitz.
said me.
But you can tune in to Beau Wagner if that does ever happen. No, man. I mean, this one seems it is pretty straightforward. It ends up being minus 110, which is a regular. It's a regular line. It's minus 110. The Chiefs getting Philly on a short week, a bounce back game for the Chiefs, who have, I think, lost 2 games for the first time in Mahomes' career, back-to-back games. So we don't see that happening. This Bills spread is the biggest one, I think, of the season. 16.5, 17 on certain lines. And then, Tom going back into New England, it's going to be like The Godfather. They're pumping the hell out of this in NBC. I think I saw a preview. They got Adele playing in the background. It's obviously the game of the week. It'll be the highest rated regular season game, I think, probably in history. But to get these 3 heavy money line favorites parlayed at minus 110, it seems like a no-brainer for me. Brad, what do you think?
Hey, listen, I love it. I'm going to actually be on the game in a different perspective. I'm going to go ahead with Kansas City team total, first half, over 14.5 points. The juice is a little heavier on the heavier side, but I really like this. If you think about that very poor start from the Kansas City Chiefs, they did respond with 21 points in the second half. And even with, the question marks they have had about hitting deep targets outside of that game where Tyreek Hill obviously had the 190 plus yards, they're still rated as the 3rd offensive rated team here. One thing that I really like about this look too is with the Eagles, we know Eagles are a bottom half defense. We're not talking about scoring defense. We're talking about from an overall efficiency ranking. Well, the biggest problem for their defense isn't necessarily their defensive play. Losing Graham Hurts. It sounds like I'm saying Jalen Hurts, right? But no, losing Graham Hurts. But what really hurts them is their defense is always on the field because their offense doesn't sustain drives. Right now, their defense is on the field 33 minutes per game, which is 25th in the league. Their offense is on the field. It's an egregious number, and they're 29th in the league for time on the field. When the ball is in the hands of a MVP quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the chance to score is there. And when you saw what happened with the first half in the Eagles-Dallas game, Dak Prescott and company just lit them up. And if it weren't for, so a couple mistakes, they could have scored a lot more than they did, but they covered the 14.5 with ease, 23 points in the first half. And I think that last week's game with Elaire was a good representation of how they'll be able to use him and make their offense a little more versatile against the Eagles. I'm very excited for this look because I think that this game is going to be a win by the Chiefs. They're going to want to start fast. After you lose 2 games, the first thing you do to get your team into it is start fast and put your foot on the pedal because they did not do that last game. So this is a look that I have on this game.
Sure. I know we love talking about this Kansas City thing. I'm going to jump over to my Rams. I got a player prop. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't need much explanation. But I'm going Kyler Murray to throw an interception. It's a lot of chalk. It's -130 over on Caesars. Again, he's thrown at least 1 interception every game this year. In week 2, he threw 2 interceptions. He has 4 interceptions for his career in 4 games against this LA Rams team. And the over-under is at 55 points, 54.5, 55.5, depending on what you're looking at. They're going to air the ball out. So that's secondary with Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey. I think Nuke Hopkins is still banged up a little bit. Kyler Murray, as great as he's been this season, he gets a little bit carried away. He gets a little tunnel vision. He doesn't see the over-the-top safety, and he's been throwing some picks. So him to throw 1 pick against a team he's thrown 4 against in 4 games, him to throw 1 pick when he's thrown 1 pick every game in 3 games this season, it's -130, but I think it's a good fit in this high-scoring affair. So I'm going Murray to have at least 1 interception this week.
All right, so because I don't have anything. I like to ruin beautiful things. So I even when you guys told me give me 1 play, I'm like, yeah, but can we try this? So I appreciate the the bandwidth here. Let's go back to the game that we're all going to be watching and ignoring our families on. We're going to go back to the Bucs game.
Yes.
I think the if you want to go safe, we quickly I said what about Gronk in the Bucs to win, Gronk to score, Bucs to win, but Brad pointed out that the Patriots haven't allowed a touchdown to a tight end yet. So I said I kind of pivoted it's really juicy Antonio Brown to score against the team that did him a little bit dirty, right? Made Tommy mad. And in the Bucs to win. I think it's at plus 230 or 260, I think. I mean, that's my play.
I like it.
Yeah, plus 260.
I like it.
So
like
it's gone up. So
hopefully I didn't say that to kind of discourage you. Like if you think about the tight ends that New England's played, they haven't played a Gronk yet, and that connection's happening, regardless of who likes it or not. How good that New England defense is going to play. Can you imagine the crowd pandemonium that happens when Tom Brady throws a touchdown pass in the red zone to Gronk and we get a Gronk spike? Oh my God. That is a television moment.
And one thing to point out quick about that play too, like if Brown scores in the first or second quarter and you have heavy, the pass are down and maybe they're like plus 400, plus 500. I do this myself personally. I'll throw $25 on the Patriots to just know that my original wager is covered. Obviously we're parlaying these, but if you guys build this into your own parlay, that's something I do all the time is hedge back my original wager when your touchdown scores. That's what I really like about those plays, actually.
Yep. No, I
No,
totally agree.
it's a fair point. Nobody more than me really appreciates a good hedge. So I think it's a great point. And if you look at the odds, I think we all agree the Bucs should win this game. There really is no way. We were talking about it before. How do you beat this Bucs team? Well, you can't run the ball, so you take that out of there. James White out for the season, and now you got a rookie quarterback going against one of the best front sevens in football. So I think we all agree that the Bucs. That the Bucs should win this game outright. And then you're getting plus 260 on Antonio Brown scoring a touchdown, which he did in week 1. He missed last week. And it's pretty much plus 260 to get Antonio Brown to score. The game is set at 49.5 as an over-under. It's indicated it'll be a high-score game. You really can't pass up on the value, and you get the hedge opportunity if it hits early.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you said that. The rookie quarterbacks this year, I think only one has covered the spread. So I'm fairly confident in the Bucs as well, and I'm a Bucs fan. Kind of helps out. I'm going to pivot over to my favorite play of the podcast of the weekend. So far this season, I'm 2-1 on field goal props. We did very dirty by John Gruden going for the field goal for going for the over for going for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal in the first half, or we'd have hit over 1.5 field goals for the Ravens game, and we would have been 3-0 on the year. One thing I really like are field goal props because they're super straightforward and they're pretty bland. You don't need too many theatrics for it. I'm going over 1.5 field goals made in Washington at Atlanta. I'll start with 0.1. Field goal props and domes are my favorite because you don't need to worry about the wind elements. The turf is not beaten up and chewed up from being natural grass. Another thing I like this season, despite not having any big games yet, Younghoe Koo is 4-4 on the season. He has a 1-3 hit rate at this number, which is not ideal, but you have to think about it. The one game where he had a chance and he was in great field goal range, they had to go for it because they were playing against the Bucs and they were down big. Now you go to a Washington side who, despite having a pretty disappointing defense, they do fairly well in the red zone. They have that bend, don't break mentality, and they've stalled out a lot of drives. Every single game this season, that field goal prop has hit for the opposing team. The Chargers made 2 field goals. The Giants made 5 field goals, and Buffalo made 3 field goals, even when they didn't need to kick field goals in that Buffalo game. I really like this prop, so I'm playing it for 2 units. A look that I initially did like was over 1.5 first half field goals, but I wanted to kind of see the pace of the game and kind of take this in stride and just push this pregame and look for a live opportunity for another field goal made if it's a close game at halftime. So that's my look for this game, and it's something I'm super stoked for.
Thinking about that Atlanta Falcons red zone offense, it brings up some lunch because Kyle Pitts really screwed me last week, man. Arthur Smith is not a name that we say in this house after last week, but I think it's a great play. I definitely think 2 field goals for Younghoe Koo. You nailed all the points. I want to see Beau Wagner on a field goal play. I want a big bet from Beau Wagner on field goal plays. We'll get one.
Yes.
All right. Everybody, Venmo me, please, so I can make now. I'll play that. I'm going to play these. Of course, I'm going to play these for sure. I'm in. What could be worse than last week? Unbelievable. I don't want to talk about it.
No, dude, I'm with you. We move on. We move forward.
The Chargers coach had to get his 7. Okay, got it. Real smart.
That still makes no sense. I love Brandon Staley, but that was inexplicable.
Oh, yeah, I love him too. Oh, love him so much.
I got one last play for the week. It is my first defensive player play of the season. It is Demario Davis, linebacker for the New Orleans Saints, to have over 7.5 tackles and assists at -120 on Caesars. Now, he hit this in 2 or 3 games. Both of those games were Carolina and New England, which are more run-centric teams. He plays, obviously, closer to the line of scrimmage, defending the run. Now, the Giants, they have a running back. They have a quarterback that likes to rush the ball at least 8 times per game. And Saquon Barkley has actually increased his touches every single week from week 1. 10 touches in week 1, 13 touches in week 2, 16 touches in week 3. As he becomes healthier, they're feeding him the ball more. This all plays into Demario Davis getting those tackles or assists, jumping in on getting tackles later in the game to rack up and hit that 8 number. I think it's going to be a fairly lower scoring game in this Saints Giants game, which plays into wanting to run the ball more. The Saints, they put up a big offensive effort in Week 1 against Green Bay. Since then, they kind of stalled offensively. So as long as the game remained close, I expect the Giants to feed Saquon and even see Danny Dimes take off a little bit. And this 7.5 number, it's not bad for a linebacker because it's tackles plus assisted tackles. He's just got to jump in late at the end of the play, and they give him an assist. So my first defensive player prop of the season.
I'm liking that you added this because I had a play similar to this when they played Washington. I had Holcomb over 7.5 tackles and assists. And one thing about the Giants, they play very close to the line of scrimmage. I think this year they're up tremendously over last year, but last year they were bottom, I think they were the bottom 3 in yards per play and yards per attempt, which really helps the linebacker. Holcomb missed, his was over 7. He pushed his number with 4 missed tackles, just open field missed tackles. And I know Demario Davis, no offense to Holcomb, is a much better defensive player.
No, cool. So Brad, lead us through the way with our big batshit parlay of the week.
Yes, I am so stoked that you invited me to join the touchdown parlay. I'm going to start with my play is Tyler Higbee anytime touchdown. So we know this about Sean McVay, and I say this a lot about moving the pocket against stronger defensive lines. Arizona is equipped with a pretty good defensive line this year. I wouldn't say they're as run-stoppable as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but when you watch that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, what McVay did was he moved the line of scrimmage, and he made the tight end screen game a part of their running game. And I expect Tyler Higbee to have a very similar role to what he had against the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Makes perfect sense. Anything Rams related, you got my stamp of approval. I'm added in mine, Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown is plus 145. If you look at this, it's really obviously I expect him to have a bounce back game. You saw that in my play earlier. But what we saw from Lamar Jackson versus this Chiefs defense, they had no answer for him. Lamar scored 2 touchdowns. He had 16 rushes for 107 yards. The other quarterbacks they played, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert. I won't get into detail, but let's just say they're not as athletic as Lamar Jackson. They're also not as athletic as Jalen Hurts. So I think Jalen Hurts punches one in at plus 145, and that's 2 legs down for this 3-leg parlay. I will let the infamous Beau Wagner finish us off.
Not infamous, already talked about it, right? It's Antonio Brown and the Bucs to win. Or I'm going to a pet shop. I'm getting 2 kittens. I'm putting them in the microwave on the highest wattage possible. I'm just kidding, guys. Come on. I have a cat. So, no, I mean, if that – I just like Brown to score. Maybe he gets kicked out of the game for what he does after that. One thing just that just kind of popped in my brain, maybe Tom Brady gets a touchdown. I mean, is there any bet? We're all thinking about his boys getting one and spiking it, but what about Tom? What's he going to do?
Little QB sneak for probably about plus 700 to plus 800 odds.
That's going to be insane single game parlays. Maybe we'll put one out, before that game. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
I wonder if they cheat. I really do. I legitimately wonder how the fans are going to react because they still love him. Boston fans, they still, for whatever reason, you see in the commercials, you hear it in the famous Boston celebrities like Matt Damon and Bill Burr. They still love Tom Brady. I'm curious if the fans boo or cheer.
They should.
I think they cheer. One of family friends of ours, they're from Boston. They love Tom Brady so much that hanging outside of their house is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers flag. The dad has a Buccaneers old school logo tattoo. Well, he wore a Bucs jersey all season last year. Tom Brady, they love the man. There's no way they boo. They will probably cry when he walks out on the field.
But that is our touchdown parlay of the week between the 3 of us now. Tyler Higbee to score, Jalen Hurts to score, Antonio Brown to score, and the Bucs get their obvious win. It's a 3-leg parlay. It's 50 to win 1,053. 21 to 1 on your money. I think it's going to be the first of many successful touchdown parlays that you get from Bankroll Blitz, and all 3 of us contributed. I've talked enough. Let's let you 2 please close it out.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Hey, Beau, first of all, I'd like to thank you for joining the podcast. Guys, be sure to follow Beau on Twitter at Beau L. Wagner. Follow me at Mr. Brad Thomas and Bobby at Prop Holiday. That's 2 L's. And Bankroll Blitz at Bankroll Blitz with a Z. Be sure to download and subscribe to the podcast. Take care, guys.